Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the afternoon session of the day 3 of ATTN 2024. Today we are having the capacity building training on digital trade for small and medium enterprises. So after the lunch break, hopefully everyone is ready to listen to the next discussions that we have ready. Today we will be having Mr. Arino Fafauri of CSIS presenting his paper, and the second speaker will be joining us online today. It will be Professor Hildegun of CEP. So I would like to re-invite Mr. James Correa up to this stage to moderate this session, please. Round of applause, please, everyone.
Perfect. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for a very dynamic series of exchanges this morning. Just to kickstart this afternoon and reiterate, we'll start with a presentation on enhancing digital competitiveness and inclusivity for MSMEs in Indonesia with our friend Pak Adinova Fauri from CSIS. We'll then move to consider the global and regional developments in digital trade with Professor Hildegun Nordas. Hildegun is a senior associate at the Center for Economic Policy and a former director at the OECD. And then finally, we'll discuss online marketplaces and e-commerce for SMEs with Pak Arwanda Vishnu Wardana after a coffee break to replenish our energy for the last session. And he's the head of research there. So to kickstart this afternoon's proceedings, I'd like to invite Pak Adinova Fauri. Adinova is an economic researcher at the CSIS, where he's been diligently working on the digital economy among many other topics for the last 9 years. He holds a master's in economics from Tilburg University in the Netherlands, as well as a bachelor's in economics from Universitas Indonesia here. So please join me in giving him a warm welcome, and over to you, Pak Adi.
Okay, I think I just said it. Okay, thank you so much for all the participation, to all the participants in here this afternoon. Well, this paper is actually part of the exploratory studies that we are doing at the CSIS, so please bear with me. Of course, we need an input when we're doing this paper. So the title of this study is the Enhancing Digital Competitiveness and Inclusivity for MSMEs in Indonesia. I think I will pick a specific topic just for today. So I am not going to run the whole paper. So let me start with the 3 main reasons why we're doing this study. The first one is to give you context of what is happening in Indonesia. I think when you search MSME and Indonesia, it will shows a positive economic contributions, positive employment creations, etc., etc. Yes, that is true in numbers, because 90% of the employment is in MSMEs. But there's also, we need to take notes on that as well, because we have a very huge numbers of MSMEs in Indonesia, but the operational scale is a very small, which makes it less efficient in a way. So that's the first one. Second one is that we know that the internet adoptions, we know that the infrastructure is getting better, etc., etc., and it boosts digital adoptions, especially in terms of the e-commerce market as well. But the inequality exists. Not all MSMEs has the similar opportunity to tap into the e-commerce market because there's a structural problem, there's other problem as well. So even in the regions with very strong digital infrastructures, I will talk about that perhaps later on. And this it has been shown in our so-called index of digital society. It shows that even in the tier 2 cities in Indonesia, which have huge adoption, digital adoption, huge, a good internet penetrations as well, but the MSMEs penetration is still remains low. That's the second one. And the third one is that I think we have to acknowledge that in the last 10 years, 10 to 20 years perhaps, we believe that e-commerce is the, what is it, the main goals of the MSMEs. By using e-commerce, they expect to scale up their business, etc., etc. But nowadays, the market is very saturated. And why is that? Because although it expand the market opportunities, but it also increase the competition levels. So I will also talk about this perhaps later on a bit more. So I think we need more interventions rather than just trying to push e-commerce, trying to push MSMEs into e-commerce platform. So we have two objectives in these presentations. The first one is to look at the state of digital skills in MSMEs in 3 cities, Jogja, Badung, and Surabaya. This is the, if you don't know, this is the second tier cities in Indonesia after Jakarta. And the second one is to assess the potential digital entrepreneurship based on the response they are having to the MSMEs. So to do this, we conducted a survey. It's a very small scale. It's exploratory, but I hope from the results of the survey, I hope we can take something into considerations into a policy initiative, etc., etc. We take digital MSMEs, non-digital, student-led as well. Yep, and that's all the designs. So when we designed the questionnaires, we adopted this framework from the OECD. We believe that if these 4 pillars has been successfully managed by the Indonesian government, I think it is one of the main recipe for the SMEs to scale up. But in this presentation, so I would focus more on the 4 pillars in here. It's about the entrepreneurship behavior, opportunity, and the motivations. So this is just a quick glance of the respondent profile. There's a significant numbers of the SMEs established following the COVID-19 pandemic, which shows that there is a job transitions from the formal into informal, which also is shown in the macro level of data. And well, in terms of the age of the populations, the digital SMEs is the proportions of young population is higher in the digital SMEs, and also in these samples we have more non-manufacturers than the manufacturer. Okay, so okay, so this is just a quick glance of what is our findings. The first one is about the digital infrastructures. I think it's quite similar to the literature. It's quite similar to the index that we have, that almost the majority of SMEs already have the access to digital infrastructures, internet, smartphone, etc., etc. Although there is still some numbers in the samples that do not have an access to the internet. But It presents an opportunity for our SMEs to capitalize the digital adoptions to increase their level of business. And this is the conditions in the financial account. We wanted to look whether the inclusions is there. Why is it important? Because we believe that having an access to a financial account, it will open up the opportunity for the financing issues, etc., etc. Yes, in terms of the saving accounts, I think most of the samples already have it. And I think we can also see that the digital SMEs has a better inclusions when it comes to the digital financial products in here, internet banking, e-wallet, etc. But there's 11 to 13% of the sample that do not have bank accounts, which is also worrying when, especially because how important is the roles of the financial account to the financings of the SMEs. This is to show the importance of the digital skills. Well, we can see as well that apparently the awareness to maintain the financial records and also to separate their business is not there yet, especially for the SMEs and also both digital and non-digital SMEs. And what is worrying the most is that most of the non-digital SMEs that are doing the financial record is still doing it paper-based, which is quite, it could cause a problem, especially human error, etc., etc. So that's the, what is it? That's the layer, and this is this is the main reasons we are doing this, because we are asking to our samples, we offer them jobs, minimum wage jobs with all the benefits, and the answer is quite surprising. And the answers, honestly, is quite not as expected, not in terms of our hypothesis as well, because most of the sample says that they will continue their business. At the first one, at the first stage, before we conduct the study, we thought that they become an entrepreneur, they open their SMEs because there's no job opportunity. But after we offer a job opportunity, apparently they decline and chose to continue their SMEs. Although there is a variety, small in proportions, because I think younger group of the sample still have the appetite to change, to shift, to become an employee, but still it's a very small proportion. And why is it happened? And we were asking about the motivations in here. And they stated that to become an entrepreneur in here, to open SMEs, it's an ideal job because it's a flexible, they know what they want, they can do basically whatever they want it, and etc. So there is no rules to shows. For example, you have to go to the office from 9 to 5, etc., etc. So they see it as an ideal job. So that is one of the main reasons why they chose to stay on the business. And yes, there's a significant portions of this sample that also doing an entrepreneurs as an additional jobs or additional income for them, but still the majorities of the sample in terms of the age group or in terms of the other characteristic, there's no difference in there. So it's quite one conclusion. And why this is important? So okay, they have the big motivations to become entrepreneurs. So we look at whether there's a potentials of the SMEs in each of these regions. And if you see the left-hand side of the slides, we see the gap between Jakarta and this two-tier city in terms of the values of transactions, in terms of the volume of the transactions. The gap is very huge, which is concerning because if you perhaps don't know, Yogyakarta, Bandung, and Surabaya is actually very big city. So this huge gap between Jakarta and these three cities is actually quite concerning. And why is that? One of them, we believe that there's a mismatch between sellers and buyers. We map the top 5 sellers and top 20 most in-demand products in those areas. And we find that not all those top 5 sellers actually sell the right products. So the red table is actually not the right products in this sense. So this is one of the reasons also we are doing this study is we talk about with e-commerce platforms, we talk with the private sectors. They say that when they did a program for onboarding program to e-commerce, this is a story in a Palembang. Palembang is a city in the Sumatra, very famous for the fish cake. If you maybe you should try it. When they do a training program in the Palembang with a huge numbers of SMEs in there, most of them, they wanted to sell this fish cake, pempek. So, so that is exactly why the market is saturated in the e-commerce, because they sell the same products. And that is not what the demand wants. So there's a mismatch in this. After having those informations, we over the samples with the new informations. We told them that this products is actually the most demanded products in your areas, etc., etc. And the answers is quite varied in terms of the characteristics. For example, the young age, they wanted to add a new line of business, but they don't want to completely change the business. And when it comes to the older age group, majority of them, they don't even want to change their business, even with these new informations about the products. And last but not least, we can see here that the so-called digital entrepreneurs is actually not so high in Indonesia, because when we say about what is actually the main program that you really wanted, they say about financial. Yes, financial is important, but I think if we give them less financial burden without the knowledge of the market, etc., well, the e-commerce will be still saturated and there is no golden rules in there. So I think that's all my presentation today. Hopefully we can learn something from this, and yeah, happy to have a discussion with you. Thank you. So, yeah. Is there any questions or? Sure.
Hi, thanks for the interesting presentation. I have one quick question. Did you ask them about formalization? I mean, I'm guessing these are mostly informal. Are they formal, informal, or what's the ratio there? And then did you ask them about the possibility of formalizing rather than having a job, for example? And what was the response to that, if that was a question? Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's one of the important questions. Yes, we ask. I think most of them is informal. I don't have the data in here, but actually we don't have this. Your second questions about how to formalize the business, but in terms of these discussions, I think formalizing the business means to have a higher burden actually for the SMEs. So sometimes they wanted to stay informal, because they don't have to pay a higher tax, they don't have to follow all these strict regulations that coming from the government, etc., etc. And formalizing business doesn't mean you can successfully scaling up your business. Doesn't mean your productivity will increase, etc., etc. Yes, there's an associations towards that, but it's not by by simple interventions as formalizing the business. So yeah, yeah. The second one we don't ask, but yes, that's my response to you.
Okay, I have a question. Adinova, thank you for the presentation. So I'm very interested in your finding about the fact that the entrepreneurs didn't want to change to become an employee. I wonder if it's because the offer is minimum wage. Did you check whether they were earning, above minimum wage or below? And also the second one is, did they say why they still want to become entrepreneurs? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, actually, in our previous design, we wanted to have sort of layers towards it, but I forgot why we don't do that. So for at the first one, we offered the minimum wage. Second one, we offered 2 times of minimum wage, etc., etc. But we decided not to do that. I forgot why, but I think that should be an interesting findings if we check that. And also the main reasons is one of them is the flexibility. So they put an emphasis on the flexibility issues in here, working hours, etc., etc. And yeah, that's my response.
Uh, I have one is question and another one is an observation. About the first question is you classify your respondent into 3 groups: digital SMEs, non-digital SMEs, and student SMEs. So my question here is, if you have 150 respondents, so maybe some part of these 150 are digital and some part are non-digital, and this is one. And then number 2, about student. Do you mean that out of 150 respondents, some are students while doing SME business, while others are not students but doing SME business? This is, I need clarification about this. This is number 1. And then number 2, you found, after doing the mapping of the product, you found that the in-demand products and the highest, there's a mismatch between the in-demand product and the highest producers, SMEs. So have you dig in to find why these, the highest producers are not selling the in-demand product? Maybe through the interview with discussion with them to find the reason why most of the top producers are not in the in-demand product. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. For your first questions about the more of a clarifications of the sample. Yes, for a student, so basically we are going to the universities in those areas, and then we are doing random samplings from them, and then if they don't if they don't have the business, then so we can eliminate from the sample, and then we're going to the next, etc., etc. Using the online, using the offline face-to-face sample. So that's the first one, and the second one about the in-demand products. We did not ask why they don't sell the most in-demand products, because they don't have that information. And if you can see from my slides earlier, that actually most of the sellers is selling F&B, which is very huge in Indonesia in terms of the sectors. And there is also and also the reasons is, I think, because they have those skills to sell their products, and they perhaps, it is good, of course, to believe in their skills to create those products, but I think they don't have the information to know which products that is actually more is it profitable in the market, for example. So that is why our questions in our questionnaires is by asking, by giving an informations about the most in demanded products, and that's when it comes to the surprising results that apparently not all of the business, even after we give an informations for this new product, they don't really want it to change. So the first one, they don't know the information, but after we give an information, they still don't want to change the business. So that's the findings. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. I do believe that Yogyakarta, Badung, and another one, what's
Surabaya.
Surabaya, are three different cities with its own working structure, history, traditions. Do you think there is like significant reasons that probably are different? Like, even though you assume generally the older they are, the more reluctant they are to change the jobs. Do you think that there are differences in the layers of motivations? Why do they insist in doing their jobs based on geographical motivations? Okay, and that's the first one. And the second one, based on your findings, do you think it is crucial for the governments to provide interventions? To what extent and from what point the government should intervene? Thank you.
The first questions is very hard to answer because, well, I'm not an anthropologist or sociologist, so I don't know whether a sample in different regions have similar motivations toward this new intervention, for example, that we use in our questionnaires by giving new informations, by giving job offers, for example, etc., etc. So I don't have the answer to that. Perhaps if there is an audience that have an expert towards that, perhaps, and you could share to me about the news, it would be nice. And about the second one is about, what is it again? Oh yes, about the interventions. So, well, according to our study, of course, this is a very preliminary, this is still an exploratory, we can have targeted interventions. That number one, because when there is a new informations, not all the SMEs decline towards those new informations. That's the findings. Although the majority of them declining. So if the interventions is by giving new informations, by giving a training related to data, based on the data that what is the actual marketable products in your areas, for example. So we can have these targeted interventions, not from the broad perspectives of intervention. For example, just giving all the informations to all SMEs. So and does it not really take into considerations of the characteristics of the SMEs. So that's one of the findings. For example, the young age is much more open towards new informations, and also the non-manufacturers is actually quite open as well to the new information. So they are more easier to move from one sectors to another, not move, but by adding a new line of business. So yeah, that's my response. Good. Okay. Thank you so much. I will give the microphone back to James. Thank you for all.